Day. Hey everybody, it's my Nick again. I went back and did the other eye, as you can see, so now both eyes are done. And I also added a little bit of that dark emerald green to the corner or to the sides to give it a little more sparkle, because I love sparkles. And so now both eyes are done and you guys can see all of it. On top of that, I realized that the little tail end of the last video got cut off. So what I did was took the concealer and my little small brush, and I just went from the corner of the eye out all the way around, drew that down, and just kind of blended that in. So now that my eyes are done, the reason I do the eyes first, as I've said before, is because fallout can be super duper bad with glitter. And as you can see, since I have put that glitter on, it does not move, it does not come off on the fingers, nothing. As once that dries, it's on there and you don't have to worry about it getting all over your cheeks as the day goes on or anything. So instead of buying all these expensive glitter adherence products, that's what I use, and it works really, really well. And who doesn't like things that work well that don't cost a fortune, pretty much. So oh, my dear daughter is dying to photobomb Blaze. She's dying to photobomb my video, so here we go. Photobomb, girls.
This is Mom's video, you hear me? Mom's video.
Tell them. Comment, like, share. Thumbs up.
I can't. Thumbs up, please.
Give them a thumbs up. Hit the like button in the corner. Do that.
Do it.
Come over here, Raya.
Like.
See? The kid's right. Like the video. Okay,
like,
now it's your sister's turn.
I have 1,000 likes.
There we go. Raya's telling you to like, thumbs up, like the video.
Like.
Yeah, tell them like, comment, and share.
Like, comment, and share.
Okay, now you photobomb. Go away, little people. Okay, go play, girls. Alright, so now that you've seen my adorable children, and it is time to make me not look like a raccoon by putting on the other parts of the foundation. And so I have this beige number 3, the Time Wise that I talked about earlier, and my silicone beauty blender. And I really like this. This is another thing I got off of Wish, and it doesn't waste any product. It is awesome to be able to put that on there and be able to use. I use probably half of the amount of product I used to by having the silicone blender. The only thing it doesn't do is get into the corners of the eyes and stuff, and so I use a sponge for that. But seriously, the silicone blender makes things so much easier. Now you may have noticed at the beginning of the video I had this little bit of a white hue here. That same concealer that I use around my eyes, I also like to put that on to my mouth after I put my lipstick on, to help highlight and make my mouth look, make the lips look more full. And I had way too much on my brush, so I didn't want to waste it, and I just put it around my mouth a little early. Normally I do that afterwards, and I may still have to put some around my mouth when I'm done with the lipstick. But for now, we're doing foundation, and I just, like any liquid foundation, put that on all over, and then on the areas like around my nose and whatnot, I use my finger. But like I had said, I try really hard to use the foundations to highlight. So this is that Ivory in the Mary Kay, which is the lighter color, and I use that around the corners of the nose. And then right down the center. Right here, down the center of the nose. And then under both eyes. Some people like to draw that little triangle thing. I just figure as long as it gets under there, that works. And then cheekbone area is another area that I like the lighter color. And then I will proceed to blend. In and around these crease areas where I cannot get the Beauty Blender to do as well. Now, if you have problem areas, concealer on those as well. And these two tones of the two tones of foundation I find are really helpful to brighten the areas that I want to brighten without being too harsh. Because seriously, when you're doing your makeup, what do you want to do? You want to draw them towards your eyes, your lips. Whatever you want to draw the eye to is where you want to lighten it. So you want to lighten around the eyes, highlight your cheekbones, the center of the nose, and then a lot of people do underneath of the lip. And ELF makes like these concealer sticks. Those are really cool too, but this one is in a beige, so it's actually a little darker color than I prefer. But you can do that, you know, wherever you want that color too, but I like the ivory personally for the highlighting aspects. And just make sure that you get it kind of all over and get it really well mixed, really well blended. And then I go back, I have these, once I get that on there, I have this ELF natural, it's just called a natural finish powder, and it's in a bead form. It comes with a little puff, but I don't like that, but they're just beads. And they kind of have a variety of colors, if you can see there, so that your beads are kind of a neutral tone for my skin type. And I just have a large puffy brush. That's the technical term for it, I'm sure. Puffy brush. And I just swizzle that around. Swizzle and puffy, yes, that's me. And I swizzle that around, and then I just put that on all over to give it a really even finish and tone, and to help make it not look so so bright. Now I try to make my makeup work for me instead of working against my makeup. And so personally, I like to use, sorry, I gotta get a little bit here. I noticed that I hadn't really put a whole lot above my lip, and that it did not look finished. So a little above the lip, finish things up. The crease of the nose, so everything looks done. And I don't even mind if this gets on my lips, really, because that just helps the lipstick stick to it. And then when you do put your lipstick on, then you can actually define it, and it looks a lot cleaner, I guess you would say, than it would if you were not to. So I just put that all over, and then I go about the process of both highlighting and drawing attention to the areas that I want attention drawn to. I have this Kat Von D palette. I don't buy a special highlighter, but this is a, I don't even remember what the name of the color palette is, but it's got these brighter kind of blues and mauves with different base colors. And it's kind of hard to see, but there is a little bit of a sparkle, like a shimmer. Hopefully you can see that, to this pinky color in the Kat Von D. And so what I do is with that larger, not the super big, but the little bit larger blending brush, I go into that pinky color and I highlight that area. I mean, some people buy special highlighting powders, but I figure it's a powder, it's a powder, it's a powder. And if it's gonna highlight like I want it to, why spend more money? This Kat Von D palette was more than I really wanted to spend, so the sparkly highlight is nice. I think it was like 45 bucks, and well, I'm poor, so 45 bucks is a lot of money. And then I use some of my darker colors, like my ELF again, and I use some of the darker ones, like I use this little bit darker shade, kind of like what I put around the eyes. I use these darker ones, and I very carefully, not too much, but I very carefully outline the edges of the nose with it. I don't know if you can really see that, but you want it to be super subtle. That's why I say make your makeup work for you, and don't let it work against you. Use what you have to make it do what you want. And like I said, I have super oily skin, so if I use some of those contouring kits, then I wind up having this terrible oiliness that just is awful. And so I use a little bit of the darker eyeshadows to contour my nose. And then I've highlighted here. It's kind of hard to see. My lighting is terrible in this video. But I've highlighted the other side as well on this cheekbone, like if you suck in your cheeks and make the fish lips. You can see where your blush or your darker area should be. And I know a lot of people use a dark color and go in this general vicinity. I hit it extremely, extremely lightly with the big brush on the dark color, because you can just barely see it in the middle there. I hit it extremely lightly on that dark color. And then I have an ELF blush. It's a cream blush, and the color is called Rose Royalty. Yes, that's me, Royalty, clearly. And since it's a cream, I just use my fingers, and I just very gently go in with that cream blush. The same on the other side, just very, very gently. And in that general vicinity of where you would want rosy cheeks, I put that cream blush. A little heavier if you prefer, a little lighter if you prefer, but that's my technique for the cream blush. And then, see, that helps highlight that area too. And then I go in, just because I don't like it to look super, super white, and it looks super white to me at the moment. I take this color palette, and I have learned over time that this color right here, that is like this I don't know, it's more of a flesh tone, or this one here, both, or maybe a combination of the two, I just very gently go in and like under the eyes, and in some of these areas, ooh, I have a tickle. In some of these areas that I don't want it to be as bright, I use those normal fleshy tones to just, because I'm not going clear up to where my eyeliner is, because that's where I highlighted, but this little area here, I don't want it to look like a raccoon. So I go in with those colors and I just blend and try to make this all look as natural and neutral as possible. And then right up here as well, just a very natural neutral color. And then a little tiny bit of a darker right up at the hairline. Like, you can't even see it unless you get right up there next to it. But if you use the little darker shadow, that's why I love these neutral palettes, because seriously, if you're going to go to the store and buy a neutral contour palette, whether it's a cream or a powder, you're pretty much getting eyeshadow. I mean, there's not, well, if it's a cream, you're not. But, you know, if you're doing the others, then I already have eyeshadow on hand and that works for me. So that just darkens right in the hairline, and like I said, my lighting is terrible, but it darkens it just the tiniest bit. And then it doesn't take away from what I've done, but it also just makes it look more natural. Okay, so there's that. And that is pretty much, I know a lot of people will, if they want to highlight, or I mean contour to make themselves look thinner, they will go down in this area. Ooh. Didn't mean to hit right there. But they'll go down in this bottom area and whatnot. I really don't drag it down that far. As heavy as I am, I don't want to accent the edge of my face so much, so I don't so much. I mean, that might be about as much as I hit it, but I really don't draw it down super far. But you can kind of see the three layers. You can see the lighter, and then the blush, and the, if you look, and then you can see this lighter color again. So that's about how I do. The biggest part of the contouring I do is on the sides of the nose, and then a little bit up here. And then I, like I said, I use the whiter or lighter ivory colored foundation. And that is how I foundation and contour.